My name is Carrie Jack, and I want to help you happy hustle a life you love, one full of passion, purpose, and positive impact. I'm a lifestyle entrepreneur, a professional model / actor, a digital marketing specialist, a podcast host, author, a biohacker, an eco warrior, a martial artist, a hippie cowboy, and a humanitarian. Then check out the Happy Hustle podcast, where I interview world-class happy hustlers from spiritual gurus to multi-million-dollar entrepreneurs. It is time to happy hustle your dream reality. What is up, you beautiful happy hustlers out there? Carrie Jack here, and I hope you're having an amazing day. I mean it, just enjoying this very moment right here and right now, baby. And in this episode of the Happy Hustle podcast, we have on Miss Lisa Haisha, who is a life coach, an author, a transformational speaker, a TV host, an avid traveler with an MA master's in spiritual psychology. She has a fascination with people, and it has taken her to over 60 countries where she has worked in everything from boardrooms to yurts, helping people make shift happen in their lives. Much of this humanitarian work can be found on her website, and it's called whispersfromchildrenshearts.org and SoulBlazing.com. She is a chairwoman of Silicon Valley's Pitch Global LA chapter and frequently works with entrepreneurs, helping them manifest change. Lisa is a very awesome human being. She talks about how to harness your imposters and really release that negative self-talk and live a more authentic and purposeful life. And we go all over in this conversation, and she starts things off with a bang, just FYI, with this conversation about how she wanted to basically kill herself in a story from Iraq. And and then she takes it into how she, basically got $1 million from a deal when she was 27 in Tokyo. And then she takes it to another story from her life in LA, because she works a lot with the celebrities in LA and executives and entrepreneurs. And she's just a very interesting human being who really is her authentic soul. Though stick around to the end, because the real juice at this episode is towards the middle and the end, in my opinion, where she just starts dropping hot fire and value bombs galore. So I highly recommend checking out her website, SoulBlazing. That's SoulBlazing.com. She has a new book coming out. You guys can give a look on her website and watch some of her documentaries. She actually has an Amazon Prime show that she hosted. She's got her hand in a ton of different pots. But yeah, I think you'll enjoy this conversation with Lisa Haisha. So without further ado, y'all, let's dive into this episode of the Happy Hustle podcast. Real quick, guys, I just want to give a huge shout out to this episode's sponsor, Nootopia, who is making the world's best nootropics. I mean, this stuff is legit, guys. I have in front of me the World Domination box. This is for maximum daily performance. And what's really cool about these nootropics is they're custom made for you. They're not a one size fits all. It's essentially you take an assessment based on your cognitive performance, your mental clarity, and your physical performance for that matter. And then you see where you may be lacking, where you may be deficient in vitamins and minerals and nutrients, maybe where there's some toxins holding you back. And what they do is they custom create nootropics, aka brain drugs, that help you perform at your highest peak level. And I currently am drinking the Nectar X. It comes in these awesome vials. I just pour them in my water and I sip on it throughout my workday. And this helps with performance, clarity, neurogenesis. It helps you experience immediate levels of increased optimism, more ambition, more drive, greater learning and retention, and overall increase the energy. Now, if you guys want to get the hookup, you can go to Nootopia.com and then you put /happy hustle to get the biggest discount that you're going to get from this awesome Nootopia box. It's NOOTOPI.com /happy hustle. Get the hookup, get yourself some optimized cognitive performance nootropics that really do make a massive difference. and watch yourself just increase your levels of happiness and success. I know it sounds like a bold claim, but I'm telling you, these things really work. So check it out, newtopia.com/happy hustle, and then use code happy hustle 10 to save yourself some moolah. All right, now let's dive in back to this episode. All right, Lisa. Hold on. All right, Lisa Haisha, welcome to the Happy Hustle podcast. I am super excited to connect.
I'm excited.
Yeah, this is gonna be a fun one. I mean, you're just so multi-talented. You're definitely a happy hustler. You're a life coach, an author, a transformational speaker, a TV host, a traveler. You also have a master's in spiritual psychology, which I'm super excited to dive into. You have a new book coming out called SoulBlazing. So much awesome things to chat about in this interview. But before we dive into all that stuff, Lisa, what's something interesting about yourself that not too many people know?
I tried to kill myself in Iraq.
Wow.
Yeah, I wanted to kill myself, but I didn't want anyone to know I tried to kill myself because it would bring shame to the family. So I decided to go to Iraq when they were bombing by myself, because I heard that on the way there on the bus ride from Jordan to Iraq, because there's the no-fly zone, they were kidnapping people and killing people 5 times they get them. So when I went, I made sure I had like fake Louis Vuitton, cubic zirconia on there. Oh, you need my papers? Oh, is it here? Oh, this is just that little bag of diamonds. So, oh, here's my $100 bills. And nobody hurt me. Yeah.
Well, wow. Well, can we dive deeper into that? Because I mean, what was the purpose behind it? It was just life tough at that
Well,
point?
I moved to Los Angeles to be an actress, and that's what I always thought I was going to do, because a psychic came over, and when I was 10, and she said, my maternal grandmother came over and said she saw a psychic years earlier, and she said that her daughter, my mom, would marry a foreigner, which she married an Iraqi, and she would have 5 daughters, and one would be a star. So I get to be the star, So I thought, what is a star? So I started, reading biographies on Elizabeth Taylor and Lauren Bacall and Marilyn Monroe, these people. So I thought, oh, okay, that's what I'm supposed to do. So when I moved to LA, my dad was always, of course, against it. And you can't do that. That's just legalizing being a whore, just because you do it on camera, everything that. I'm like, Dad, stop it. And then, when I started working, almost every job I got was take up your shirt, do nudity, do this, or I'll kill your career, all these Me Too stuff back then. And I'm like, oh my God, I see what my dad was saying. So I ended up quitting after a year and a half, but I did some good stuff in that time. But like I was on a soap opera, I'm like, I can't do love scenes, or I can't even simulate love scenes or even be under the cover, because I'd assume, so I just had to quit. I said, it's not working for me. So I didn't know what to do with my life. It's like, who am I then outside of that? Because I think for like the past 20 years, it's like, this is who I am. So, then I had no direction. When you in life, if you have direction, you have truth, love, meaning, and purpose, anything could happen and you could pick yourself up, and because there's a stronger drive. When you don't have that, you're just kind of floating around the universe with no anchor, and it feels really scary, really lonely, and sometimes too much. And I'm like, if I don't have that life, I don't have any other skills. I didn't prepare for anything else.
Yeah, so interesting. I mean, it's like when athletes too, they attach themselves so much with their sport, it becomes their identity. Same things with actresses and actors. And I think with entrepreneurs too can relate to that. If they sell a company, they go through a depression or anxiety, stress around losing their identity. And it's an interesting phenomenon that takes place, especially when you reach success in some capacity in that field, and then you have a major life shift. What would you say was the catalyst to overcoming that thought process to now here you are living vibrantly?
I think I really wanted to get kidnapped or something. And I thought, I was in love with Christiane Amanpour at that time. And I thought, because I'm kind of an adrenaline junkie, I love to, push limits. And I thought, oh, I could be that. And if I get kidnapped, I could co-write a book with like Al-Qaeda, because I'm a soul blazer and I know how to connect to people. I don't think I'll really get killed, but it'll be, launch me into my next career. I thought it was a brilliant idea. So nobody would kidnap me. I'm like, dang, can't catch a break around here. When I got to Baghdad, I stayed at the Al Rashid Hotel, because that's where I see all the journalists staying when you watch the news. And I said, what's the worst area that I should avoid? Then I got in a cab, take me to that area. American girl, Louis Vuitton, really rich, diamonds, even though it was, somebody and nobody. Habibi, you're American, you come eat for free. You come stay with me. You don't pay. You're like, okay. So this isn't working out. Yeah. So I think when I came back, it made me shift my thoughts on what's on the news, what's true, what's not true, and what is reality and what's not reality. And I know that you get to create whatever you want. And I know that your vibration is who you are. How you vibrate is how people see you, how you succeed or fail. And if you don't feed that, then you're going to go, why isn't my life working? It's well, because you're not vibrating at the level that people who you want to see you, they can't see you. You're almost invisible. So you have to work on that. And I was going, oh, wow, I was probably vibrating at such a high rate, because I was like, oh, I want to get kidnapped. I want to write this book, and I'm going to become Christian Anapor, and travel to all these zones and learn about life, because I was so sheltered as a kid. I, grew up under a Baghdad roof is what I call. I'm not allowed to go out. You go to school, come home, no camping, no sleepovers. No one could stay at your house, no dating. You had your husband picked out for you. So it's like no life experience. So I was just hungry for, who are all these people I'm supposed to be afraid of? And why am I being so protected, and from what? So it made me realize, well, you get to create your own reality. And since I had this high, nobody would hurt me, because I was vibrating of all this enthusiasm for life. So I'm like, oh, okay, how do I, contain that? And that, in the orphanage, I ended up going to an orphanage in Iraq too, because I then traveled through Iraq when I couldn't get kidnapped. I'm like, well, let me see this country and let me see where my dad grew up, and let me see all this stuff. And I walked into this orphanage in the small town of Tilkef, which is where Saddam was born too. He's Christian, Iraqi also. And that's why my family and the Christians like him, because Christians can never be president over there, because it's a Muslim country. So he surrounded himself with Christians and gave them all this great stuff, like let them own businesses, let them have their churches, where every Muslim leader would not allow that. So it was a win-win with that culture. But when I was 16, I was baking a cake a few houses down for a friend, and I came home at 5:30 and the street lights were on, and my dad happened to be home. What are you doing? Are you a whore? I'm sending you to an orphanage, and said, I want to move out, and here's money to move out. Why should I give you money? It was this whole drama thing. So I'm going, oh my God, this is the orphanage he was talking about. It was like right on his block. So I was obsessed with, who are you kids? Why are you here? Tell me about your families. And they were all, my dad lost his leg, my uncle got killed, my this, my that, Americans hate us, why does everyone hate us? And I'm like, wow, that's the human condition. We all feel the world's against us, or we're not good enough, or we won't make it, we don't have opportunities, we don't have connections, we don't have, the world's not supportive. And then that's a mindset I got, because the world's supportive if you choose it to be supportive. It's not supportive if your mindset it's not supportive, because your thoughts create your reality. And when you do the same thing every day, like get up on the same side of bed, have your coffee, brush your teeth, whatever it is you do, you're going to have the same life. You got to go on a happy hustle retreat and go out in the wilderness, and you got to do something to shake things up and be around juicy, like-minded people who are hungry for change, and not just change for the world, changing themselves, because if you change you change the world. And everyone's like, oh, I got to fix these people. No, fix you and you fix people, because it's a classic thing in relationships. Oh, they were a jerk on there, but I could change them. With me, they're going to be a great guy. It's like, no, you change you, and you're going to attract differently. You're going to attract different things. So all these little lessons I was learning. So that when I went to that orphanage, I was still, oh, I got to make it. And when you've got to make it, you just do stupid things. You're like just so focused on you and my career and my life. And then things don't happen. You're like, why aren't things working? It's because you're kind of a icky person. You're not interesting. You're just so self-absorbed and narcissistic. And so for some reason, I was so moved by these kids. I said, I got to memorialize your words. I would need to prove to you somebody cares about you. So then I started going, well, how do I do that? Then I started traveling, and I ended up for the next 5 years traveling to 15 countries, living in orphanages. And then I interviewed them and videoed them. And then I wrote a book about it called Whispers from Children's Hearts. And then I self-published, and then I started giving it to schools and libraries. And then I started getting asked to speak. And then all of a sudden I have a speaking career. And it's like, oh, I don't know how to speak. I don't speak. So I got a globe, and I thought, oh, let me Google fun facts. In Singapore, if you chew gum, you get arrested. Did you know that?
I did know that.
Yeah, of course.
I've been there.
Yeah. But like all these fun facts, teaching kids that are in second grade, third grade, and showing them the world and sharing what these people think about them. What do you think about this question? And how do you react? And then all of a sudden it kind of grew. Then I got asked to speak in high schools and colleges and CEOs, different meetings and breakfast clubs and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, oh, I guess I'm a speaker. What does a speaker do? Let me research how to actually build a speaking career. And then all of these travels, I think, because I was so isolated, I ended up traveling to over 60 countries in like 25 years. And I'm still traveling, just not at the rate I was before. I always kept a journal, a really strong journal. So now I am, I have this book called Under a Baghdad Roof. That's the first draft is written, which is my journey to Iraq and back and everything that happened, which people say it's like a Thelma and Louise goes to Iraq, because I met a woman there who wanted to kill herself. And then we try all these crazy antics. So it's really a fun book. And then another one.
Sounds fun.
Yeah. Oh, we went to Jordan. We were almost kidnapped by mullahs to be, just all sorts of stuff.
Jeez Louise.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You have quite the stories, Lisa. I'd got to say, and I'm really, I can honestly, when I listen to you and I think about how you weave in life lessons to your stories. It's a beautiful art. I mean, just some of the gold you just dropped, minutes ago about really just your frequency and your vibration and who you attract. And it's so evident in my life. And I've seen it when I vibrate at a lower frequency, I attract negative energy. And when you're staying high and being the love and the light, you bring in that goodness into your life. And I do want to start diving into this, just your soul mapping methodology, because I love the tagline of your new book. It's how to harness your imposters, release negative self-talk, and lead a more authentic and purposeful life. So let's dive into SoulBlazing. Just kind of give us the backstory on how it started and what does SoulBlazing even mean?
Well, after all these journeys, I decided I now have a lot of life experience, which I never had before, hands-on juicy stuff. So I wanted to become a little more book smart. So I thought, because I was fascinated with people and the mind and how we think, how we make decisions. And so I went and got a master's in psychology. And in that program, when you're doing your 3,000 hours, you have to volunteer and you work in different places and you get paid almost nothing or nothing. But I volunteered to work in a prison and with a female prison up in Fresno or Chowchilla prison. It's up in that area. And you could stay there for 4 days. And I was with a group of people. So there's like 200 people who sign up for it. And most of them sign up just because they get some sort of reward for going. Anytime you do something for self-improvement, you get like something, longer break or perks. So I did my, the first 3 days with, you work with 5 or 6 different people, in trios or duos or whatever. And the last day, my last person, it was one-on-one with like the bully at the prison. And she was like mean, shaved head, a snake coiled around her head and down her arm. And she's just like, what do you got? Just give it to me. I'm just doing this for,
A snake, you said? Or like a real snake, or like a tattoo?
tattooed.
Okay.
Yeah, she's a preacher,
Okay.
but it's just like really dark, ominous. She was really, like I am the
Yeah.
devil, and
Wow.
yeah, I'm just doing this. I don't think I value it all, or that I'm going to get anything. I've been in prison for 20 years and no one's been able to help me. My life sucks and I'm never going to get out. She murdered 3 husbands.
Wow.
And she said that, long story short, that they all did something to her and that they deserved it. And she was like, I did it. Every woman, I did it. I killed a motherfucker. And everyone, the men's prisons, I'm innocent. I was framed. So it's interesting.
Yeah,
All the men were innocent. All the women were like, trophy, I did it. Killed him. I'm like, oh, that's so fascinating,
Wow.
Yeah, but she, just, you can't do anything to help. And then you have your little script of how you're supposed to work with them. I'm like, okay, let me put this to the side. I didn't have the name SoulBlazer and know what SoulBlazing was. I just was studying psychology and coaching. So what I naturally, innately did, I think from all my travels, is you mirror people, or when you look into their eyes, this from your retreats. Sometimes I just hold hands with people and look them in the eyes, that you could see their soul. So I just started looking at her, mirroring her. I'm like, oh, she needs ugly. She doesn't respect, business suit with a briefcase. And that can't relate. So I got down to her level and started talking to her in the same manner she spoke to me. And she's like, you can't do that. You can't talk to me like that. And I just got straight up to her like that, like, And I said, you know what your problem is? And I just, reamed her and just shook her out of her comfort zone. But then I gained respect. She's just like, oh, okay, you're not afraid of me. And at the end of our session, she was crying and said, Lisa, you just blazed my soul. And I went, you said you have nothing to give. You just gave me the name for my business. I'm going to call it SoulBlazing.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
awesome. I mean, it really is a great name. And, and I'm interested to dive into, because I know you talk about there's 8 imposters. Walk us through like what those imposters are and how we can, harness them.
Well, after then working there and, working with hundreds of people, even before I started practicing just the 3,000 hours, I started going, wow, there's all these different patterns. This one's like a victim, constant, this character is always a victim. This person did this to me in my life and I can never change. And this happened, all these circumstances outside their control. Then there's the overthinker who, oh, I've got all these great ideas. You probably meet a lot of them with the work you do and the people you interview. Oh, I've got this, I got this, but nobody knows how to put it together. But all these great ideas. So they end up 20 years later still have nothing. If they worked with someone like yourself or worked with someone who could say, I'll help you, let me package it, they're going to save 10, 15 years of struggle and they might actually make it. But on your own, forget it. So you get all those people. I'm like, oh, those are overthinkers of, what if I'm being ripped off? Or what if this isn't good enough? What if this doesn't work? What if I'm not, So then the seductress, I was in Hollywood and an actress, everyone's men and women are seducing. Come and do this and I'll give you that. Everything's like a quid pro quo. I'm like, okay, so there's the seductor character. So I started coming up with all these. There's the fixer, people who let me help you, but they want to help you to get into your inner circle so then they could help themselves, or everything is like so I'm like, oh, wow. So these are the reasons. So I stopped at 7 in the authentic soul, which is the 8th, which is when you're really just being you, when you're meditating, when you're getting grounded, when you're like, I don't want to manipulate. I want to come in authentically and say, this is who I am, take it or leave it. And when you're that raw, vulnerable, and authentic, that's when you're the best actress. That's when you're the best anyone you want to be in the world, because people see you and go, God, I just like that person. They're trustworthy, or I feel safe talking to them, or, but when you have all these masks on and all these agendas, you're not relatable, or you start creating fake friendships because you're fake. Like, God, all these creepy people around me, all these users. Well, because that's who you are, even if you don't realize it or not, because you couch it behind your mask. So I equate it with, we have all these imposters on the stage of our brain speaking for us and making decisions for us. And it's kind of like a pit bull. If you train the pit bull to be good, they'll protect you, protect your family. But if you beat it and teach it to be mean, they're going to bite others and bite you eventually. So tame your imposters just like a pit bull, and you could use them for your greater good. You could turn them into superpowers because there's positives and negatives of them, positives is you could get a lot of what you want. The negatives are there's, consequences to that. But if you train them and just say, oh, let me do this for good of humanity, then your whole life starts working out. And I used to listen to people I love and respect teach, and they're saying, oh, you could get rid of your icky qualities if you just do this and do that and meditate. And I thought, okay, I've been doing this for years. I still have all these icky qualities. I'm like totally messed up and I don't know life and I've traveled all over, and why isn't my life still working? But I think you can't get rid of them. You have to love yourself and go, oh, this is an aspect that's not so pretty, but how can I make it prettier? You know, being aware of it. And then I give it a name. Let's give it a name of what that character is. Do you need a minute to? Okay. What's the name of that character? So then when that quality starts coming up, you're like, oh, you know, that's Sarah in me or whatever. And you go, who caused me to have that pain? Who gave me that hurt that made me, now I don't trust people because this person did this, or, you know, everyone's going to rip me off going, oh no, that's not me. That's Sarah, you know, that came from this and this. Then you could go, oh, I put it on a leaf and let it float down is how I look at it. Then I go, okay, now let me go in as me and meet this person fresh and without all the agendas or, you know, I'm scared, I'm going to be ripped off, I'm going to do, you know, no, trust sometimes. And when you are so authentically you, your radar's on where you know who's authentic and who's not. You just go, oh, good person, bad person. You don't have to deal with, should I trust? It's like, oh, innately I trust.
Yeah. Oh, such a great point. I mean, that is really like when you're coming from an authentic, unapologetic place where you're just you, raw, real, you attract those people. And I do want to like dive into each of them because you mentioned, or at least name each of them. So you had the victim, which I know a lot of people can like empathize with that person or relate to, or someone you could think of a victim in your life, you know, or someone who, you know, victimizes themselves. You have the overthinker, which, you know, I hear this a lot. It's, oh, I haven't launched my business yet because I want it to be perfect, or, oh, I haven't, you know, I haven't done my course or my book. And it's like that analysis paralysis never actually gets you the result. So yeah, great point there. The seductress, then the fixer, and the authentic soul. What's some of the other ones?
The judge, the egotist, the overthinker, the joker. Yeah. So we have the victim, seductor, the fixer, the judge, the egotist, overthinker, joker, and then the authentic soul.
What's the judge? Break down the judge and the joker for us, because I love those names.
Yeah, it's a rigid critic with a worldview that's set in stone. Like, this is how life is. My dad was a judge. You don't do this, you do this. It's like everyone's the same. It's like you have 5 daughters. We're all wired differently. And in life, it's not black and white. There's so much gray. And a judge is usually supposed to know how to navigate that, because no situation is the same. You know, just like if you kill someone, what did that person do to you? Did they try to kill you and you're protecting yourself, or did you kill them just because that's what you do? You're a killer. It's so the judge, if you use it as a superpower, you have more gray. And if you don't, it's black and white. And that's when it comes back to hurt you. And you say, why isn't my life working? Because you're so damn critical of everyone and you judge them as soon as you meet them. So, and the joker is the life of the party, often masks a slew of insecurities that are no laughing matter, because they try to just throw other people under the bus to make themselves look good. And, oh, look at my buddy, you know what happened to him, and share personal things because they will do anything for a laugh because they're insecure and they want to be, you know, the life of the party. They want to feel loved. They want to feel whole and complete. But usually most comedians or comics are the most sad people, you know, their job is to make others laugh. So when you come into contact with them, you could see them right away. You know, I got some of them who would, you know, call, hey, how's it going? And right away, you know, this joke, I'm like, no, just be real. Forget about all that. You don't have to entertain me. I'm here to coach you, for God's sake. Just be raw. Hi, how are you? Great, let's talk. Not let me spin these wild tales so you'll think I'm funny. So
Yeah, it's so interesting you mentioned that it's masking insecurities. And I think each one of those, different imposters, you call them imposters, right? Each one of those have something they're masking, right? Maybe not necessarily insecurities, but there's something, some deep-seated problem or pain. What would you say is, just from your years of working with clients, I know one-on-one, and then also, big name celebrities and all sorts of, executives and entrepreneurs and leaders, like, what would you say is the number one thing that they do to move past these imposters? Or is there a common thread, like if someone does X, they can release this imposter syndrome of the victim or the joker or the judge? Is there anything like that we could maybe tie a bow around in terms of, I know it's tough to conceptualize into one thing, but something, that a common thread that you've seen that helps, overcome these imposters?
yeah, for me, I think it's probably similar to you. I think it's the people who take the time to go on retreats, go
Mm,
on your retreats, somebody who leads them and is experienced, to guide people through their own issues and all the, because when you go do something like that, a lot of your stuff comes up. And if you have a strong leader who could help bring everyone together, make everyone feel safe, there's nothing better. I think when people never do the inner work, they're still so superficial and all about the ego. I've got to be liked. I got to be
mm,
better than everyone else. And I got to prove to everyone I'm the funniest or the smartest in the room. They always get burned, even if they have money. And I've worked with some of the top executives in the business, some of the top showrunners in Hollywood. And so many of them have all the money, but they're so broken inside. And it's like, God, if they just took more time out and go, you need to travel, you need to come on one of my SoulBlazing retreats, and just, they're like, oh, I don't have time for that. Or, oh, that's for woo-woo people. And no, it's not. It's for you. You're miserable and you're an alcoholic and you're destroying your life. And you're,
mm,
especially I was a coach on sets for, dysfunctional actors that they're afraid if they go off the rails, then the production will be taken down. So I'm listening to all them. It's like they're so famous and they have everything, but they don't love themselves, or they still feel they're not good enough and there's more to give and they have to do more, be more to be loved. And it's like, once you could teach them, let's learn to love yourself, 1 minute a day, even just wake up. I say you have to do something for your mind, body, heart, soul. Let's do something for your mind. Read something interesting, just even a passage, even 2 sentences, a positive quote. Move your bodies, just stretch, even if it's for 30 seconds. Just, I love my body, and stretch your soul, your heart. I write a text to somebody, I love you and thank you for this, just some gratitude in your life. And, spirit, just meditating. I remember Wayne Dyer said, he likes to meditate when the sun rises and when the sun sets. And it's just like a grounding thing when you're going, oh, I'm part of something bigger than me. I'm part of the
mm,
universe. Let me flow with the sun. And, just that alone helps you connect and say, oh my God, I am nothing. I'm just minuscule. I'm just one little piece. If I'm gone, nobody will, oh, Lisa's dead. Oh, okay. Bummer. Okay. Now I got to do this and that. It's like, that's all we are. And if you get over, I have to be this, powerful entity. And then that's when it gets dangerous, even with gurus and stuff, where you hear so many stories how they manipulate and use women and sex, and it's all ego, or movie sets, the Harvey Weinsteins, and they just so don't feel loved and they never had it as a kid. So power gives them
mm.
an opportunity to force people to love them, or because now they're going to wield that power. So I'm like, oh, that's their egotist. So I'm just putting all these pieces together, going, if you just get this slice, because I say everyone has a dominant one, then they might have 2 or 3 other ones. But if you just go, oh, this is really how I operate. I don't feel good. I seduce people and, dress a certain way, or I'll sleep with certain people in the beginning to get, then it's like, then when you get it, you're going, oh my God, it wasn't authentic.
Mm.
Then those demons still haunt you, and you start losing your money or making bad choices because your imposters, they're saying you're really a loser, ha 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 ha, I know the truth. And you can't hide from the truth when it's you, because it's in you. It's your soul speaking, going, you sold your soul for $1. You sold your soul for, you know, whatever it is to get that juicy thing in your life. But then you're living with the consequences, and that's karma to me.
Yeah.
And I remember I was in Japan. I was modeling in Tokyo. You know, when I quit.
Fancy. You're so fancy.
I know, I'm so fabulous. Right? I still kept my commercial agent when I quit. And they said, oh, the Japanese are, I'm like, oh, that's good, because they have a lot of money there and it's a new experience. I want to travel. And that's my ticket to travel free over there and get to experience a different culture. Really wasn't about the modeling for me. But then when I started meeting these people, I'm like, oh my God, Japan has all the money right now. This is 1989, 90. They were like the kings of the world, so much money. And I went, oh, I should get money and write my own movie and direct. But how do you raise money when you've never directed, never written, never produced, really didn't act that much, and don't know much about business, or, you know? So I started talking to people, and I'm not going to tell the whole story. You could read it in the book because that would take up too much time. But the bottom line is, when I ended up getting face to face with the board members of a ball bearing company that I was talking to, come talk to me about my movie. They said, where's your, you know, what's the name of your movie? And I'm like, I don't even have a name. And I went, Psycho Sushi, because I thought everyone was crazy and they ate sushi. And they're like, okay, what's it about? It's about LA, because I live in LA, Tokyo, because I was in Tokyo. And I said, hot love, because they're all in, you know, and I said cold fish, because I was looking at fish. Oh, so interesting, you know, do you have a budget? I said, the budget's $1 million. And they're like, where's the budget? I said, you don't need numbers. I said, it's all bullshit. You know, because this is when Reservoir Dogs and all those things, everything was $1 million. I said, every movie is $1 million. People will impress you with all these numbers. I said, but it never works. I'm going to ask you for $1 million. I'm going to go over 150,000, because it always happens and there's no money for marketing. So I'm going to hit you up for another 150 at the end, because that's just how it is. I go, how do you know? I'm going, everyone does it. I said, it doesn't matter where the numbers land. That's just the truth. I said, but guys, I'm not selling you a movie. You have money. You're paying 70% in taxes. In Japan, you can't own your own car. You don't own your computer. You have a house that's a shoebox. But everything's credit card with the company. The company will give you, you could go out every night to network. So you get in all the clubs for free, all your booze for free, your computer, your car, everything for free. But it's not cash. And I said, you're all dying, you're all miserable, you're all alcoholics. And you go out to these geisha clubs and hostess clubs to pay people to laugh at your jokes and give you attention. I said, it's pretty sad and pathetic. I said, but on the other hand, it's fun. And they said, well, I don't get that at home. And I said, yeah, but that's your wife. You're paying. They go, we don't care if we're paying. At least someone's giving us attention. Like, we have the money, the company's paying. At least you're laughing. You're not sitting at home bored in front of the TV. So I'm like, okay, I get it. But you need an experience for yourself that you authentically did. So I'm offering you for $1,150,000 an experience, 1 year to come stay in US, you know, come back and forth. They all want to learn English better. They all were buying real estate here. I said, I'll set you up with real estate people. Your English will improve. Everyone's going to want to be your best friend, because you're the rich guys from Japan who's investing in a movie. I said, and this is going to be the story you're going to tell your grandchildren. This is your legacy moment. Either cease the moment or forever just be a robot. And that's what people are. They get up day in, day out.
Yep, I've been there. I know.
Blue and gray suits, right?
Yep.
And they're super responsible. If someone's passing out on the street, everyone helps them, because they get how sad and how hard their lives are.
It is. It's sad.
Yeah. So I'm going to give you this opportunity to get out, go have all these experiences, buy real estate. So even if you lose the money that you're paying it in taxes, but you're going to buy real estate that's going to offset it. And there you go.
Wow.
And they gave
did you get the deal?
Within 3 months, I had $1 million in my bank account, and I was 27 years old, not even knowing how to. So I called friends. I got to make a mistake. How to write a screenplay. how to
Oh,
direct a
wow.
movie, you know, and
That's awesome. I mean, but the conviction in you being authentically you is what really gets that deal done. The like you selling them on the experience as well. But I just love the fact that you were just so raw and real and just, um, got the deal of a lifetime. That's super awesome. And you obviously made the movie. Is that right?
yeah, shot
Yeah.
it here and in Tokyo and in Nagoya.
Whoa. So
Yeah,
cool. So
you
cool,
type
Lisa.
Psycho Sushi trailer, it's online. You could
Oh
see
my
the
gosh. And
little,
I know you have an Amazon show out too on
yes,
where you're basically interviewing awesome people
yes,
about their stories and
yes.
blazing their souls. So we'll link all that up in the show notes. Now I do want to just like touch on negative self-talk because I know it happens to all of us. We have that little voice in our head and it's oftentimes extremely loud and annoying, and it's oftentimes negative. What do you say to someone who is struggling with negative self-talk and how to best overcome it?
Get your soul blazed. it's about it's about really understanding how you do life, really getting the vision of, oh, I'm a seductor.
Mm,
I'm really pretty. I'm sexy, so I use people for that. I'm really smart, so I'm the egotist. I know how to, manipulate someone's mind and mindset. I'm funny, so I'm gonna use my humor to seduce. We all have our things, or the judge. That's like the bad boy. I'm going to just make you feel terrible about yourself until you become weak, and then I can manipulate you. Usually
mm,
that's kind of like the narcissist. The narcissist picks on victims because the victims are, oh, and then usually judges, narcissists, they have a lot of money. So then they use that to seduce others, and then they treat them poorly. So once you go, this is how I do life, this is how I operate, and there's probably a lot more imposters. That's just what I came up with. And if I did 50, it would be overwhelming. But it gives you
mhm.
the idea of, how do you do life? How do you navigate? How do you get your needs met? And when all of us have stuff, and we constantly do. I don't buy into that you could get rid of it, but you have to be aware of it and go, oh, there it is again. There it is again. I've been doing this for 20 years and I still go, oh my God, I just did that. And sometimes I'll cop to it, go, you know what? I just used my little manipulation tool. This is what I do to get what I want. I'm like, there it
Mhm.
is. But you know it because you're so used to going, oh, I named it and I know who gave me that. I know who made me feel insecure, or who hurt me in a way that they're never going to do that again. I'm going to get them before they get me energy. So,
Mhm.
yeah. So once you get a strong sense of, I'm aware I have these sides to me to manipulate the world, and this is what I'm going to do. These are the tools I'm going to use, where I don't have to do that anymore, or I could just get it authentically. Your whole life will change. People are going to see
Mhm.
you differently. People are going to be attracted to you in a way that they weren't before. And people are
Yeah.
going to volunteer to help you.
Yeah, I love that. And you'll be able to quiet that negative self-talk in that mind once you know it's there and once you know where it's stemming from, the root.
And
Yeah,
you give it
that's a
love. You don't beat it up. They don't say, God,
mm,
I screwed it up again and I'm terrible. You just go, oh, wow, my wounded inner child is so sad, and that it's using this because I'm feeling vulnerable in this moment. And you give it nurturing and love like you would a baby. Would you beat a baby up, or someone you love? You'd say, no, 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 let me help you. So you got to do that to yourself. We're so used to just beating ourselves up. They say you have 40 to 70,000 thoughts a day. Most of them are negative. Most of them are repeated. If I'm not good enough, I'm never going to make it. How do I
mhm.
get my way into this? And how do I get my way into that? I want to meet that person because they'll change my life. Well, that person doesn't want to meet you because you're not ready. And if you meet that person on a level that you're ready, or you're vibrating at least in the same frequency, where you're going, I really have something authentic to offer, not just help me because I want to make money and I want to be famous and I want to be loved by everybody. So I need to be connected. And I think we all go through those stages when you're starting off. But when you just go, oh no, I have something to offer, and you wait your turn in line, where you're helping yourself. I hate it when people even come to me grabby to network, and I have these epic parties with a lot of famous people because I know a lot. So I'm going, you're not invited if you ever approach them or ask them for anything, or because nobody wants that. People have to feel safe. But when you go in as a equal, regardless of who you are in life, you don't have to be famous or rich. They don't even want that. Just being a cool person who's authentic and just being in the experience. It's a world of difference in energy. And then those people like you, then they'll invite you to their things or come, because now you're just this cool person that they feel safe around.
Yep.
And I've talked to so many obviously successful people who go, I hate those people and I don't want to be around that, or I don't want to come to your party because I don't want this or that, or I don't want to go to this event. Or they go to events and they stay with their like bodyguards, 2 or 3 people that keep gatekeepers who keep people away. And it's because of that reason. So if you come in giving something like, oh, I loved your talk, here's something you would like, and offer something instead of help me, you don't know me, but I'm super cool,
Yeah, it's that taker mindset. And I always I try to integrate every interaction with a value add first and foremost. And then, if down the road there's a win-win that can be, synergized, I say, okay, great. Let's talk about how potentially I could help you or you could help me in that regard, but it's always value first. And I think when you have that taker mentality, it's just ugly, and no one wants to be around, especially the successful, the most successful individuals in the world. They don't resonate with that. This has been great, Lisa. Let's talk about just, I know you have an awesome webinar. Let's talk about some links where people can find out more about you, and kind of learn more about SoulBlazing.
Yes, SoulBlazing.com, and you could just click on it. I have the soul, about, which is SoulBlazing, the imposter model. You could take the imposter quiz and see, which imposter most resonates with you. Then there's the coaching. I do privates, but I very select few, and I'm booked right now for that. That'll open up again probably in November. But I have the webinar for people to get a taste of what I do and get familiar with the work. So if you do work with me or go on one of my retreats or workshops, you'll be much more familiar. And it has a workbook to get you through, and you're going to get all the basics of that. And you could just Google SoulBlazing webinar. Then I have a book coming out, which I'll explain everything much more in detail and give you fun case studies and personal stories. Yeah. So, and then media is all my documentaries. During COVID, instead of sitting around, I had metaphysical healers from all walks of life come over and do all these things to me. I'm going, let me boost my immunity, and to learn from them and see, someone from Sri Lanka does, this special thing and on your third eye and whatever, past life regressions, ayahuasca, got to do that.
I've done that.
Thing. Isn't it amazing? So it's like trying all these different things to show where your, again, ick is, and what holds you back, and what tools have you used that you think are helping move you forward, but they're actually hurting you. Then you start getting aware of all these things, and it's just really fun. So I did that during COVID. Then I interviewed like really cool people like Wim Hof's, ice baths to really take up your system. And
I know Wim.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So SoulBlazing.com, guys, all the happy hustlers. I'm on it's the imposter model right now. And I would just highly recommend identifying which one you are: the victim, the seductor, the fixer, the judge, the egotist, the overthinker, the joker, or the authentic soul, or at least which one's most dominant in your life. So then you can prioritize change accordingly. And then also check out that awesome webinar and your upcoming book. That is really, going to be a great read. I'm definitely going to have to pick that up. Now, Lisa, I do want to ask you a couple different questions, and then the rapid fire round, and then we'll wrap this bad boy up. Usually I like to ask something in regards to health, and I like to call them happy hustle hacks, something that you do that, optimizes your health. It could be a tip, a tool, a tactic, something, that you utilize that you would like to share with the happy hustlers.
Well, I do intermittent fasting.
Awesome.
And I just drink green juice, like cucumber juice or celery juice, 1 day a week.
Wow.
And then I eat between noon and 6 or 7. Once in a while, I'll do eat later if I'm on vacation or whatever, but as a rule. And I think that alone really helps a lot. And I told you before, I do the mind, body, heart, soul. And sometimes that's like 5 minutes or sometimes it's an hour where I do something for each category of my being to tap into. Because if you wake up in the morning, you just let the world come in and sweep you away of you. Oh my God, COVID's getting stronger. Oh my God, we're going to be bombed by them. Oh, China's after you die. So when you go, oh, read something beautiful, I love myself, do your affirmations and stretch your body, listen to something beautiful, gorgeous music, then you go, okay, I'm creating my day, I'm setting the temperature, this is how it's going to go.
Yep. Yeah, such a great point. And I also do intermittent fasting, actually same feeding window, or at least very close. And, drink green juice. Yeah. It's just really important, take care of your body and your mind, and especially that early, part of your day to make sure you set the tone properly. Love that. Let's talk about money. I always, like to talk about money because I see money as a tool, it's an energy, it's a frequency that we can use, really to show more of our true authentic soul, right? And I know you probably made a bunch and you probably lost a bunch, and there's some wisdom that you could share with us in regards to money, maybe a happy hustle hack for saving, investing, or spending wisely, something that you could share.
Yeah, I think when I was younger, money seemed very hard to get. I think because you don't have as much life experience. But once you let go of, I need money, because I wanted to travel, I'm like, I don't have enough money to travel. And I met someone who said, you just travel, you just go and let the universe figure it out. I'm like, how? And they showed me like kayak travel site or whatever. You just buy a ticket. And then I started traveling like that by myself with like $200 and staying for 2 or 3 weeks. Somehow you meet all these beautiful soul families, what I call it, they're not even strangers. And then you start staying with people and growing and learning, and you meet the right people. Because when you're in the mindset of, we're collaborating on this life journey, it's not just me going on by myself, you're going to meet your friends, because that's how that person did it. So I'm like, oh, I got to meet my best friends that I've never met before in this lifetime. And so I think when you change the programming of, I need to make $1 million. I had so many clients like that. And, oh, can you teach me SoulBlazing? Can you make them? Like, no, you're not my tribe. You don't go into this. You're going into this, say, how can I help and give back? Because your life is awesome. So you want to give back, not you're broken and sleeping on your parents' couch and you want to siphon money from others. So you could, so when you change the mindset to money, you get money when you're giving. And I wasn't getting money even when I was changing that mindset, but I was getting opportunities. People are saying, stay at my $1 million mansion. Here's a trip, stay here. That, somehow I was getting money, but not hard, cold cash. So I said, oh, what's that about? Then once you go, okay, let me accept that as money and start going, oh, wow, it's coming in, and you keep doing work. So I started volunteering, doing the whisper stuff that I shared earlier, working in all these orphanages on my own dime and just giving back. And somehow people start going, oh, you're doing this? Where's your foundation? And start giving me money for the foundation. Then start doing this. And I start meeting people. Then I start, again, your vibration starts changing, because now I'm with some of the biggest people in the world, and everyone's giving me money for my foundation and saying, I love the work you're doing. So it wasn't about me. It was about the work I was doing. So I started throwing these big legacy galas and doing these retreats, and I'm saying it's free. Just pay your own way. And no other retreat was free. It's like 10,000 or 5,000 just for the program. I'm like, well, I want everyone to be able to do it. So then some people gave me 10,000 or 20,000 because they had money and other people didn't. So I'm like, oh, when you just give something away, it comes to you because your intention is to help heal the world. You don't have to be the most expensive ticket. You could be the, cheapest in the room and make the most money. If you're authentic and you do the work and you're giving something of value. When you try to just scrape a program together to say, oh, I just want money here, let me do what this person's doing, cut and paste, it comes back. You may make money for a while, but it comes back and haunts you, and you're never happy, and your relationships don't work. And life is not about how much money you have. It's who do you love and who loves you.
Yeah.
At the end of
So
the day, if
true.
you're successful and you have no one to share it with, or nobody gives a shit, who cares? It's who do you love and who loves you, and do you love yourself? If you don't love yourself, you lost in life. I'm sorry.
Amen, sister. Nailed
Dead.
it. Yeah, so
Yeah.
true. That's some hot fire there, Lisa. I love it. And it's so true just in terms of like when you have that giving mindset, you know, the abundance flows to you. But when you again, you know, are greedy or being a taker or trying to wheel and deal or being slimy or sleazy, it's so much more difficult to achieve wealth or
Yeah.
success. So definitely just happy hustlers out there, you know, be a giver,
Be a
and
giver and it
you'll
comes
have the
back
abundance.
tenfold.
Yep, so good. Now, I do want to mention spirituality. Give us a tip, tool, or tactic, you know, a happy hustle hack for spirituality that you practice.
Again, mind, body, heart, soul in the morning,
Yep.
and sunrise, sunset meditations, walking barefoot on the grass, hugging trees. And we're all connected to everything. The more I feel connected to the planet, the more I take time out. You know, I set the timer every hour to take out 1 minute and just be, I look outside, or I'll just go walk barefoot on the grass. I'll do something to just go, okay, it's not all about the computer and texting and
Mm,
emails and interviews. And it's like, okay, this is a job to help society. But if I don't help me, I fall apart. I'm super sensitive. I'm empathic. Just talking to my twin sister yesterday, she's saying, oh, I'm so sick. So I wake up this morning getting sick. I'm like, whatever someone's going through, I just pick up on it. So I'm like, I have to be really careful. And if I
yeah.
don't do these things that protect and remind me I'm a spiritual being having a human experience, I'm not a human being having a spiritual experience. And it's all about getting to the other side, or then looking back and going, who was I in this? I want to enjoy my life when I'm 80, talking to my daughter and grandchildren or nieces and nephews and other kids all over the world, to share stories of this is who you could be. You don't have to have this negative, oh, my hardships. I don't have hardships because I don't create hardships, because there's no
Mm,
hardships to be had. And if it's a hardship, you could turn it into a positive, like my dad doing the gun thing. I'm like, let me go to Iraq and figure out the mindset of these people. Why
yep.
would my dad do something? Oh, because he loved me so much. That's how they
Mm,
protect over there. The more severe, the more love.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, I'm so loved. I'm not this kid who wasn't. And I'm going, Dad, I get it. This is what happened. He's like, of course I love you. I'm like, oh, but I didn't get it. You could say it all you want. I couldn't feel it or accept it. You know, I think we all feel that some way of, even if you have $1 million, I still don't feel like I'm rich. You know, you can't take it. Or someone says, I love you. Do you love me? Or why do you love me? What do you want? You know, but when
Mm,
you have an honest, pure experiential experience, like being in the orphanage and talking to these kids and then understanding the mentality behind this whole region of the world, you're like, ding, 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 ding. And it's like, Dad, I hear you now. I get you now. I understand why you did, and I appreciate it now. It's like,
yeah.
and then it changed your whole life. I was living, I'm a victim. I wasn't, my dad did this. I'm not loved. And the two, oh my God, I was
Yeah.
cherished, but in a different way.
So true. So true. I love that you said, you know, we're spiritual beings having a human experience,
Yes.
because that's really such an important distinction. You know, we're spiritual, and we really need to remember the heart, the body, and the soul, and your morning wake up, making sure you're honoring yourself and giving from your overflow too. You mentioned you're empathic, and like you have to make sure you're taking care of self
Yeah.
first and foremost before you give to others. So yeah, those are awesome, Lisa. Now let's
And the
do the rapid
universe
fire
gives to
round.
us. Yeah, the
Oh,
universe gives to you. The grass, walking barefoot, gives to you. Hugging a
oh
tree,
yeah.
it sounds so corny, but it fills you up. I'm like, oh, I've got my energy back. I could do another
Yep.
10 podcasts, you know. Yeah.
Heard that. Heard that. I love it. My fiance is a tree hugger, so
Very good.
she's about it. And I love sitting in the grass too. I was out there this morning. So yeah, let's dive into the rapid fire round, Lisa, and then we'll wrap this bad boy up. This is just where I ask you random questions and you answer honestly. First thing that comes to mind. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right. Favorite food? Go.
Favorite food? Oh, that's a trick. Matcha green tea. Is that a favorite food? I've been
That
juicing.
counts.
Okay.
Favorite movie?
Shawshank.
Favorite book?
Um, a chance of a lifetime.
What's your spirit animal?
Eagle.
Best business advice?
be authentically yourself.
So
Don't,
good.
yes, just like how I got the $1 million, just, you're not going to make your money back probably, but do it for, just be honest. Don't try to con. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Good. If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
One superpower, probably to fly.
Yep.
I'd love to just feel that energy. And again, that's connecting with nature on such a different level.
Yeah, for sure. 3 things you're most grateful for.
Friendships, my knowledge from traveling the world, and freedom. I have ultimate freedom because I choose that.
Yep. Love it. And if you had one billboard for the world to see, and this was the last piece of content that you ever created, what would that billboard read?
Love yourself.
Nailed
Because
it.
if you don't love you, nothing else matters. You attract crap your whole life because your vibration's low.
So true. Lisa, you crushed it. I just want to acknowledge you for a minute and just say thank you for sharing your love, your light, your wisdom. I so appreciate you and this amazing conversation. And I know the happy hustlers are going to get a ton of value from it. Now, do you have any final words before I ask you the last question?
No, go ahead.
All right. And just a reminder for everyone, if you want to dive deeper into, Lisa's whole world of work, it's SoulBlazing.com. You can check out the webinar, the new book, take the Impostor Model quiz, see which one is more dominant for you. Highly recommend diving into that. Now, Lisa, final question. What does happy hustling mean to you?
It means everything that this conversation was about. It means about going out there and hustling joy, hustling peace, hustling freedom, and in a joyful way in nature and connection and bonding, because that's what life is about. Who do you love? Who loves you? Are you authentic to yourself first, to others? Because if you just have that one little tool, if you're going to happy hustle yourself, your whole world changes because your vibration changes. If you're cheating people, people feel that, oh, I don't like that person or trust. I don't know why, because they're saying all the right things, but there's something there. And you're never going to be happy unless you find that joy inside. And happy hustle is about, to me, being happy, hustling for happiness, but in a fun way,
Yeah, love it.
Yeah.
Mic drop. Nailed it, Lisa. Thank you so much for sharing your love, your light, your wisdom. This has been awesome. Thanks for listening, everyone. Peace and love. We out.
All right.